Welcome to Financial Terms Explained, the podcast that breaks down complicated money jargon into plain English. I'm your host, Christine, and today we're tackling the foundation of financial literacy, basic budgeting terms. By the end of this episode, you'll understand assets, liabilities, income, expenses, and net worth in a way that actually makes sense. Drawing from my studies of various financial philosophers, from the barefoot investor to rich dad poor dad, I'll share the traditional perspectives and practical insights. When I was learning financial terms for the first time, I felt like a stunned mullet. All these complicated words being thrown around that everyone seemed to understand, except me. That's why I created this podcast, to demystify these terms and make them easier to understand. Let's start with the basics. First up, let's talk about assets. In traditional accounting, an asset is simply anything you own that has monetary value. Your cash, your car, your home, your investments, even your collection of vinyl records. These are all considered assets. But it's important to understand the difference between an appreciating asset and a depreciating asset. This distinction changed how I viewed my finances completely. Appreciating assets are things that tend to increase in value over time and generate income. Think of investments like stocks, certain real estate, or a business that brings in profit. Depreciating assets, on the other hand, lose value over time. Your car, electronics, and most personal possessions fall into this category. That new laptop might be worth something today, but in 5 years' time, its value will be significantly less. Let me give an example. Let's say you buy a house. In traditional accounting, that house is an asset because it has value. You own it and it's worth something. But from cash flow perspective, it depends on how you use that house. If it's your personal home that you live in, it's actually taking money out of your pocket each month through mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and utilities. However, if you buy that same house and rent it out to a tenant, and after covering all expenses, you have cash flowing into your pocket each month, that is an asset that's working for you. If you buy an investment like stocks or Bitcoin, primarily because you expect it to increase in value over time, that's also technically an asset. Some people purchase their principal place of residence with the same school of thought, betting that the property will appreciate enough to offset the outgoing expenses. The big question I encourage people to ask themselves is, does this thing put money in my pocket or take money out? This simple test can transform how you view your possessions and investments. Now, let's talk about liabilities. In traditional accounting, liabilities are simply what you owe. Your mortgage, your car loan, credit card, student loan, these are all liabilities. But I like to take a broader view. I encourage people to think of liabilities as anything that takes money out of your pocket. This includes not just debts, but also things that cost you money to maintain and don't generate an income. For example, your personal car is technically an asset on the balance sheet, but from a financial wellness perspective, it's more like a liability because it loses value the moment you drive it off the lot, and it's constantly costing you money for gas, insurance, maintenance, and repairs. Even that new smartphone or designer handbag, while they might make you feel good, they're actually draining your finances and typically have no resale value. It doesn't mean you should never buy these things. It just means you should recognize them for what they are: expenses that reduce your wealth and not assets that build it up. Next, let's talk about income. This one is pretty straightforward. Money is coming into your household. In traditional terms, we typically think of income as your paycheck, the money you earn from your job or a business. This includes salaries, wages, bonuses, tips, and business profits that require your active participation. Then there's passive income, which is money your assets generate. Rental income from properties, dividends from stocks, interest from bonds, or royalties from intellectual property. I've seen how important it is to build up multiple streams of income, especially passive income streams, because that's money that comes in whether you show up to work or not. When your passive income exceeds your expenses, that's financial freedom. Now for expenses, the money going out of your household. Traditional budgeting categorizes expenses as either fixed, being the same amount each month, like rent, or variable, which is a changing amount like groceries, and as either needs, which are essential for living, or wants, which are nice to have but not necessary. From my experience as a bookkeeper, I found it helpful to look at expenses a bit differently. I encourage thinking about expenses in terms of whether they, 1, contribute to your financial growth, like education or investments, 2, cover necessary living costs, housing, food, and basic transportation, or 3, simply drain your finances without providing lasting value. These may be luxury items and unnecessary upgrades. The goal isn't to eliminate all expenses. That's impossible. The goal is to minimize expenses that don't contribute to your financial growth and maximize those that do. Finally, let's talk about net worth and balance sheets. These terms often confuse people, but they're actually quite simple. Let's start with the balance sheet. In accounting, a balance sheet is a financial statement that shows what a business owns, being their assets, and what they owe, being their liabilities, and the resulting equity at a specific point in time. For individuals, we call this personal equity, your net worth. Your net worth is just your total assets minus your total liabilities. It's what you own minus what you owe. Let's say you have $5,000 in savings, $20,000 in investments, a car worth $15,000, and a home worth $250,000. That's $290,000 in assets. But you also have $10,000 in credit card debts, $12,000 left on your car loan, and $200,000 left on your mortgage. That's $222,000 in liabilities. So your net worth would be $290,000 minus $222,000 equals $68,000. Here's an important truth I'd like to share with you. You can't eat a balance sheet. What I mean is, while calculating net worth this traditional way is useful, what really matters is cash flow. How much money is coming in versus going out each month. Someone might have a high net worth on paper because they own an expensive home. But if all their money is tied up in their home and they have little income, they may still struggle financially. In the goal of financial freedom, cash flow is king. On the flip side, someone might have a modest net worth but strong passive income from investments, giving them more financial freedom. The ultimate goal is to create multiple streams of income, especially passive income that doesn't require your direct time or effort. This is a path to true financial independence. So let's put it all together. Understanding these terms from both traditional accounting perspectives and practical cash flow perspectives helps you see the big picture of your financial situation. The key takeaways from today: assets are things that you own that have value, but beware of whether they're appreciating or depreciating assets. Liabilities are things that you owe, but more broadly, they are anything that is taking money out of your pocket. Income is money coming in, and building multiple streams of income is crucial for financial security. Expenses are money going out, and being mindful of whether each expense builds your wealth up or drains it is crucial. A balance sheet shows your assets, liabilities, and resulting net worth at a specific point in time. Net worth is assets minus liabilities. But remember, you can't eat a balance sheet. Cash flow might be an even more important indicator of financial health. To help you apply these concepts, I've created a free financial fitness tracker that you can download from the show notes. For this week's action steps, I encourage you to make 2 simple lists. One of everything you own that you consider an asset, and one of everything you owe or spend money on that you consider a liability. Then ask yourself the crucial question for each item on your assets list. Does this put money in my pocket or take money out? The answers might surprise you and help you think differently about your finances. If you're new to my channel or returning for some fresh insights, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Until next time, I'm Christine. Thank you for committing to a life of freedom and abundance through financial literacy.